From the dawn of time, 4 heroes have steered the fate of mankind, toppled kingdoms, and inspired man's greatest achievements. These are their stories. Hey everybody, welcome to Idiots of the Round Table. It's Curtis Dominique here, and I have a special guest with me.
Thank you. I'm Kelly from the Edmonton Nerd List.
Now I know I've asked you before, and I'll ask you on camera. How do you say your last name?
It's Frose, but if you get it wrong, that's fine.
So, when he came, I had a nickname because it looked like Mr. Freeze, so that's the official nickname for you now is Mr. Freeze. You accept that, or?
Well, I'm from Yellowknife. I'm from the Arctic, so...
Wow!
Kind of an apt name.
Wow.
And, you thawed me out to do movie reviews again. I haven't done one in probably 10 years. It's been a while.
And what a movie we picked. We picked The Warriors, 1979 movie. This is one you said you've watched. I've never seen it. Holy jeez.
Yeah, it had a lot of things I didn't remember. You really gloss over a lot of the things. Wow, the dialogue was not something you'd get away with these days. It's not something you'd want to even...
No, yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of where you start before you review a movie like this. You've got to warn people that some of the stuff that you say, back in the 40 years ago now.
Yeah, almost 40 years.
Don't say anymore.
We'll just say that they use a derogatory term for gay men quite a few times in this movie. Like, it's nothing. Like, they just say it as whatever. I think that's the worst of it. There was really not that much swearing.
You can catch a lot of things. There was a lot of... there's the sexist terms. There's the...
You know what? I never even noticed that.
The Warriors themselves used a lot of things that you couldn't even dress up as anymore. You wouldn't want to dress up as anymore.
Yeah, well, yeah, because even as the movie was going on, we were talking back and forth about what's going on. You couldn't do half this shit nowadays. If you went in the subway with a bat, you would get shot. Like, there would be no fooling around. If you got dressed up with half your makeup like Braveheart, holy jeez, like, I don't even want to know what would happen. But I kind of forgot. I go off. Brian's usually the anchor that keeps me down. Hey, Brian. Brian Sin's not here. He just had a baby boy. Brian, congratulations. That's good. Jeff, we don't know where the hell Jeff is. And Rusty's in the fatherland preparing for some kind of attack, he's saying. So I don't know. I don't know.
Congratulations, Brian, and hope to meet everybody else someday. But thanks for letting me stand in for you.
Yeah, that's it. So I'll do a quick thing on our sponsors. You've had the great pizza from Ollie's Pizza Pantry. What'd you think?
I'd like to take more, but I don't think I can fit any. It's delicious.
Oh my God, it's incredible. Everybody in the Fort Saskatchewan area, even Edmonton, come get it. The pepperoni stuffed crust pizza. I've never had that. And this thing now, I think I'm ruined. I can't go anywhere else now because I compared to this. And it's ridiculous. And we didn't go to Fort Cinema today because nobody was around. Kelly came and filled in, which I thank you very much. I appreciate it. If you're in the Saskatchewan area, Fort Cinema, go check out something playing in their theater. There's always new movies. It's clean. They're always friendly. The prices are great. The screen's big. I don't know what more you could say. But now let's get to our review of The Warriors. Oh my God. Thank you so much for coming to this movie. And my brother picked this movie and he didn't show up because he's not here. But I liked it. This was a palate cleansing, I guess you could say.
Once you get past the dialogue and the racist stuff and the sexist stuff, which was normal for its time, but society had a lot of growing up to do. And once you get past that, the cinematography, the soundtrack especially.
Yeah. And you know what? The craziest thing, too, is some of the action scenes were really well done. For a movie 40 years ago, it's repetitive, and they're picking guys up and throwing them into the wall or throwing them through the doors or doing something. There's no strings. There's no nothing. They're just grabbing guys and throwing each other around.
Yeah, it's almost like somebody decided, this is how I'd like to see it. It's like somebody was in martial arts, and somebody's watched a lot of Bruce Lee movies back then. A lot of the 70s kung fu movies, and this is how it should be. This is how a street fight should look. There were more sidekicks in that movie
than
I've seen
which
in any other movie in a long time.
Yeah, and sidekicks are really not damaging at all. But in this, when a guy took a sidekick, it was almost completely, he was out. It was ridiculous. There was a lot less knives than I thought there would be. Because back in the 70s, I thought that's what gang wars was, knives and guns. Like taking over the street.
Well, there were there was a couple of guns. Not really.
Couple, yeah.
I mean, even the police, when the police showed up, they all had guns, but they were using their billy clubs. I don't know if that was typical for back then for movies, but there were almost no guns.
You know what? That's actually a really good point. Maybe because of the time it was recorded, guns were, kind of played down. Where in today's movies, geez, if you don't see somebody shoot somebody in any movie, something's wrong.
Yeah. I don't know. It's kind of interesting. You almost have to watch more 70s movies to kind of figure it out. And thanks for putting the pizza behind the camera, because now I'm focused on it. Otherwise, I'm not sure where to look. I'm going to look at the pizza.
Just look directly at the lens, and you're making contact with everybody out there. It's weird because the first couple of videos, Brian and I didn't do that. When we watch the videos again, it's like we're not looking at the camera because we'd be looking everywhere else. And it's like, just look at the camera. I know it's really weird to stare into the camera like this, but yeah. So a quick overview of the Warriors. It actually takes place in 1979. A charismatic leader summons the street gangs of New York City in a bid to take it over. When he's killed, the Warriors are falsely blamed and now must fight their way home while every other gang is hunting them down to kill them, which... This hasn't been redone. I hope they don't redo it.
I know they're thinking about it. There was a sequel.
Are you kidding me?
There was a remake in the works that never got off. In the height of its height of popularity wasn't actually in the late 70s because it didn't get good reviews.
No, you're right.
I mean, it didn't get good reviews. I mean, there was a lot of negativity around it. It spawned a lot of gang violence, and a couple of murders were attributed to it, I think.
Yeah. Well,
I did a little bit of reading on it before I came over. Actually, I did fair amount, but
really,
I don't want
you really boned up on this then.
I think, well, I'm going to be on your show. I got to step up my game. I don't get out much, right?
He wants to make a really good impression so that he'll be invited back. You'll be invited back.
Well, I hope so. But I didn't want to be that guy that just sits there and is nervous the whole time. Like,
no, you're not nervous at all. It's good.
Getting back to where we were. Sorry.
No, it's okay. I just want to say there was one character in here we were trying to figure out. We were trying to go, who are these people? Where are they famous? And there's one guy that I kept focusing on, and I'm like, I know this guy from somewhere. And he actually played Dexter's dad in the TV show Dexter.
You had to look for it because 40 years ago, obviously it's going to look completely different. And he did look, there's a bunch of people in that movie, and it turns out they're all character actors of some.
Yeah.
He was the guy that kind of struck you first.
Yes.
And then the leader of the bad guys, the leader of the rogues in the movie, the evil gang that sets them up. And well, I guess we won't go too far.
We can spoil it.
A 40-year-old movie.
You have to. Yeah, if you didn't see this movie, stop playing this right now. Go watch the movie and then come back because, of course, it's all going to be spoilers. But yeah, go ahead, spoil away. Like, come on.
He's been a bad guy in a ton of. He's made a living off of it. Yeah, off of what he's done.
Some guys do that, and he's a really good bad guy.
Twin Peaks. He's been in a bunch of. How big was Arnold Schwarzenegger in the 80s? And he was in Commando, and he was in 48 Hours with.
That was
Eddie
huge.
Murphy.
Now for the people, I'm trying. You know what? Let's see if I can pull him up on.
David Kelly, I think his name was.
David Patrick Kelly.
That's it.
Wow, that's a pretty good memory you got there.
Kelly, you don't know many.
Okay, you know what? I'm going to tell you this. My name before Curtis, my parents actually were going to call me Kelly. I'm not BSing you. And then I guess I don't know what happened, but they call me Curtis. But they told me that a long time ago, so it could have been 2 Ks. Man, if we would have had the third one, it would have been a really bad acronym for our podcast or video. it would have went to a completely different demographic. Oh, I think the guy I'm talking about too is there he is, James Remar. That's the guy who was in Dexter. You can kind of tell. It just the eyes. That's what got me, and it's just you're just looking, going, shit, I know this guy. So let's talk about what we did like about this movie. What did you like?
Well, definitely the soundtrack. The soundtrack
Oh.
and the choreography. The pacing was pretty good too. Loved how they used the music. I loved how they built the tension. They kept it going. It's like somebody put a lot of. Well, actually, it wasn't a low budget movie either.
No, let's see the total amount. 4 million budget, and then at the box office it made 22. That's huge back in that day. 22 million in 79. That's a lot of money.
Yeah, it sure sounds like it. If you're making back, I don't know what they. I don't know. That was a production.
Like the comparison?
Yeah, I'm gonna drown in stats for a second just to think
That's
about
okay.
it. But yeah, it depends on how much they spend on marketing. But 22 million for a $4 million movie, if you can make back 4 times what you spent or 5 times what you spent on it,
That's pretty good. You got to figure that most of the guys were probably unknowns, or like you said, B or C list actors. They threw this together. There really wasn't a high production value. There was really not that much special effects. It was just a really good story that is actually a remake of Sol Urich's 1965 novel of the same name. And then that was turned in based on, now what'd you say it's called? Xenophon's Anabasis?
Anabasis. I don't know how you pronounce it, but I mean, it's kind of a plot line that you've seen a bunch of times in a bunch of different mediums. Okay, you've got to battle your way. You've probably seen it in 50 different video games where you've got to battle your way home.
Yep.
Through enemy
Which
territory.
this movie was actually made into a game of the same name.
Yeah,
The Warriors.
I played it. It was really honored the film. I'll say that.
Really? So, what did it follow it kind of the same way where you're at the thing and then you got to go all the way home, or?
Well, it added a lot of backstory to each of the characters, and then
okay.
you see a lot of them. It had to add in a few more fights because there wasn't enough to sustain all the different levels. But I mean, it was really an homage to it was really inspired by the film, and that was back in the early, I think 2004, 2005. I mean, it really had a resurgence in popularity back then. I mean, there was a video game, there was comic books. I think there was multiple video games, actually.
2005. Did you say 2005?
Yeah, I did do some reading beforehand. Kind of a nerd.
Okay, so there might be some people fired soon because it seems like you're taking over. Look at this. You're doing research. You're doing everything.
No, you have nothing to worry about. Nothing to worry about. Awkward on camera. I'm looking at the pizza right now. He just thawed me out as a replacement for this episode.
I think we have to do an actual playthrough of the Warriors video game. Now that you're saying that, that's something that we're going to have to do. So yeah, going back to this, I like the story. The story was clear. It's not a long story, but it's like you said, we have to get from A to B without dying, and everybody in New York is after us, including the cops. So it's not every gang, it's every gang plus the cops, and you can't trust anybody, which they soon find out when the girls pull them in. But you knew that was going to happen. They just, again, maybe like you're saying, the whole sexist thing where they just didn't think, oh yeah, girls can have a gang. Well, they had what I think was the roughest gang there. They had guns,
they had knives, they had guns, they had everything. Yeah,
yeah. The other gangs just had bats or something like that. These chicks were loaded. Like, it was, if anything, I don't know how they escaped, but yeah, I would have put my money on them because, again, back then it was just that whole machismo. Hey, we're guys. The girls just probably could have taken right over, and you would have never saw them coming.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. Well, the guns, the knives, I mean, they were the most dangerous. Well, they put up the roughest fight, too. Yeah,
plus they were good looking. So that always kind of, that disarms you. When you have a really attractive woman coming, like being really forceful and wanting to make out with you, your guard's gone. Usually, or it's peaked. Like, it's one or the other.
I'm very curious to look back at. I kind of want to read the original Greek story and see what parts they took from that, because there's been so many things inspired by, like, the Odyssey and the Iliad, and you almost get the sense that there must have been something in the original. Oh yeah, well, it's basically a Greek. Like, I can pull this up right now.
It's the most famous work published in 7 books of the Greek professional soldier and writer Xenophon. Anabasis is rendered the March of the 10,000 or the March Up Country. The journey it narrates is best known accomplishment and one of the greatest adventures in human history. So I'm guessing that it's a true story that they loosely based it on of something, but okay. Yeah, I'm not going to... Wow.
That's
7 books. So they summarized this movie in an hour and a half, and it's 7 books. So, like you're saying, this could be a really good read, but I'm guessing it's going to be a month.
Yeah, if I'll add it to the list of things that I don't have time to read, but I'd like to. I read the Odyssey, I read the Iliad, and growing up in Yellowknife, I didn't have access to as much stuff as I'd like. So, someday.
We'll add this. We can do a review of that. But you were right with the vandalism and violence. It even says here that Paramount temporarily halted their advertising campaign and released theater owners from obligation to show the film because it was negatively received. But now it's kind of a cult film, and it spawned multiple spin-off, including video games and a comic book series. So there is a comic book series, which we kind of commented on this edition that we got. I don't think that this was the 1979. There's no way in hell. Like, they did the comic transition from the drawn to the thing, but it looks really computer generated.
Well, it's really well done too. I think it adds something to it.
It does.
For sure.
Yeah, it gives it that whole comic book mystique where it's pulled right from the pages, and here's the live action, which does it well. All right, I'm just gonna take a look. Okay, we're still good on time. So, what else did you like about it, or you want to get into things you don't like now?
Oh, we got to mention a lot of different things that
go ahead.
Probably, you can tell. A lot of it's period wise, and a lot of it is. I mean, you can tell, period wise, as you gotta. I hate to keep apologizing for the language, but if you're going to recommend a movie, you got to go in knowing that there's a lot of things that people may not have meant, but a lot of terminology
there's a lot of stuff that they said back in the day that if you were to say it now, you would be ostracized and maybe beaten up because like watch the movie and you'll see what we mean. You have to go in fully knowing that it's a 40-year-old movie. Back then, this is just what they did. This was vocabulary that they used, and it was. I'm sure that in 40 years from now, people are going to look back on what we're saying and going, "Oh my God, they were like barbarians."
Hopefully, we keep growing up as a society.
Yes.
But getting back to other things because I'm going to keep going back to that because that's once you recommend a movie to somebody and you got to preface it. Yeah, you got to make sure that people know in advance what you're trying to tell or what you're trying to say.
Well, you know what? 1979. What do you expect? There's no nudity. There's no blood. The violence is limited.
The one guy that gets thrown under the train, you don't see anything.
Yeah, all you see is him just going on the train. Yeah,
the blood effects. You can tell the special effects weren't as good as they are now. Like when the blood's coming out of the one guy's, it almost looked like Kool-Aid dripping out. I mean,
yeah, and here's the thing that I don't get. I've been hit in the stomach. I've been hit in the head with a lot of stuff. Yeah, you can make all your jokes now. Getting hit in the stomach, I've never bled profusely out of my mouth, where this guy just took one baton, unless they didn't show the rest, and he was on the ground doubled over. This was supposed to be their enforcer, and it's like you said, the bright red Kool-Aid coming out of his mouth. It's just, okay. And I think that was the only blood, other than the little raspberry the one guy had at the end there.
There wasn't much. I mean,
no.
The special effects, obviously, it's not going to be that.
Just makeup back then, probably. Yeah, makeup and colored corn syrup. But go ahead. I know you want to talk about the period because you actually mentioned that to me. Where get ready for some costumes. They're going to be awesome.
Yeah, I mean the baseball guys. You have to mention them. I mean the half.
It was Braveheart, basically. Oh, yeah. Like
Braveheart in baseball uniforms, carrying bats and full on, really good shape, too. Those guys ran for like an hour.
Yeah, and that's one of the things that I didn't like about this movie. It was, again, I'm sure that these guys are tough. I'm sure back in the day they're tough. But they were running full. Like, when they were running, that guy was booking it. You can't go full out for an extended period of time. Like, especially if you're that scared and that jacked, the adrenaline dump a minute. If there was 9 of them at the beginning, and the first gang they met, I guess it was the skinhead gang, it was a short bus full of guys in a bus that couldn't catch up to them running.
Yeah, you have to suspend your disbelief a lot.
I know, and this is, again, you're Mr. Freeze, Dr. Doom. I tear movies apart. I love this movie. I'm going to give it a high rating, but that for me was like, you've got a bus, chains, whatever, and then when they went up the subway thing, they didn't even chase them. It's anyway. Go ahead.
Nah, you're not gonna. It got a negative reaction for a bunch of different reasons, and I'm sure some of it was because of that. But I mean, it didn't
take anything away from the movie, though. I loved it.
No.
I loved it. It's just, I'm that guy. But
I mean, getting back to the costumes, though. Because I mean, there was the baseball guys, and then each gang had its own thing. I mean, you had the baseball guys. You had guys.
What was your favorite?
Got to be the roller skates. That's my favorite guy, because you don't see very many guys pull it off, and he was really trying hard.
Yes, yeah.
Okay,
yeah.
Imagine Donny Osmond, if anybody remembers that. It's like somebody from the Partridge Family on roller skates trying to look menacing.
Yeah, with a mullet, full on mullet,
like with a full on 70s pop star Casey and the Sunshine Band hairstyle.
Wow.
On roller skates. Just with one hand.
You
in
forgot
his pocket,
the suspenders.
Well, yeah, and that was the gang's thing. Was the blue jean overalls, like 2-strapping it, not the 1-strap, but the 2-strap. And the one guy had the hand just tucked in his pocket, kind of nonchalantly, and the other hand's just kind of back and forth, weaving around, trying to look mean on roller skates, chasing the guy down the hallway, and he was taking him seriously. Yeah. I see him following me.
Yeah. Like, now he knows that I know, and he knows. It's just.
There were a lot of good lines. I should have had a notepad to just write some of it down because.
The guys that I really liked, and they were the worst gang in this, were the orphans. Oh my God, man! Could you have? Here's their uniform: a T-shirt with the word "orphan" on the back and jeans, and dirty as shit. That's it. That's all you need to do to get into this gang and be kind of pussies. Like, because they just threw a Molotov cocktail and they all ran. There was like 30 of them. And they just took off after that. You're not really a tough gang. No wonder why they were kind of walked over.
Yeah, they weren't even invited to the big meeting at the start of the show. They were all surprised that there was one.
Yeah, we're tough. Here's how tough we are. And I thought he's pulling out a knife. He pulls out a newspaper clipping. He's like, see that? That's us. Whoa. Sorry about that. We're sorry we invaded your turf.
You know, I just changed my mind. I want to see this movie remade. I want to see what it's like in the age of social media, because instead of pulling out, see this Reddit post? See this was us. It's anonymous, but it was us.
That's right.
Because he's going to pull out his phone too, and it won't be a top of it'll be like an iPhone 4 now, or iPhone 3 that he found on the street somewhere. Like a 3GS.
For the younger crowd that doesn't know what that is, that's an older iPhone, like about 5 or 6 years ago. I know you guys have the new fancy 7 and all that stuff. It's an older phone. I remember the flips. If you even want to go crazier than that, the Nokia bricks. If you even want to go crazier than that like Skyline phone, the first ever flip phone. Wow. And if you even want to go crazier than that, the Zach Morris satellite hand phone there.
Pull out the antenna.
Yeah. I remember using those 20-some years ago.
Yeah, they know we're old, though. You know, we should...
No, they don't. They have no idea. We're like 25. 26?
I can't. I don't even think I could pass for 30 anymore.
I'm a lot older than you, so...
I was alive when this movie came out.
Yeah, so was I. I was in school.
1979?
Yep.
I wasn't in diapers anymore. But
close. Probably close.
Probably.
All right, let's check the time, see how we're doing. Oh, geez, wow. Okay, the time's going really quick. All right. What didn't we like? What didn't you like?
Well, I mean, we talked about the language. We talked about some of the cheese.
You know what? The language I'll accept.
Yeah.
It's,
some of the cheese.
Yes.
I mean,
storyline. Like, there's really nothing bad to take from this movie. Like, it's a good palate cleanser. Like I was saying, it just coming from the Magnificent Seven remake and a few of the other things like that. This movie was a welcome breath of old air that was so fresh because it's simple movie, simple plot, straightforward. You know what's going to happen. It's the whole thing of, again, a Magnificent Seven. Well, this could have been the Magnificent Nine. They're trying to get from one end. How many of them are going to die? I'm not going to say, but, well, we kind of said one dies, but yeah,
a few of them that aren't around at the end.
Yeah,
we'll put it that.
That's
way.
it. I honestly thought there would be a lot more that would have.
Yeah, there wasn't a lot of killing in it. I mean,
no, for the entire New York and police. If it would have happened today with social media and phones, they wouldn't make it 2 blocks.
No, it would. If they were going to remake, I don't know what they would do if they were going to remake it, because
it would have to be on a blackout. I'm guessing like a complete cellular blackout or something like that, where it puts it back in that whole 1970s thing where the phones don't work, nothing works, and they're trying to get from one end back to the thing. I could see them doing that then.
Well, I don't. The more you think about it, the more you don't know if you could. You don't know if you could remake it. You don't know if you'd want to remake it. You'd almost have to do it as a period piece again. And okay, this is what we're going to make the 1970s movie again.
So okay, so
like in the 1970s.
Here's something I've never done. Who would you cast as the leading guy? I thought Heath Ledger. Of course, he's not around anymore, and on no disrespect to anything, but to me, he looked like him, and I think he could have pulled that role off if he was still around. That's what I'd like to see. But what about you?
I don't know. I'd probably take a different tack to it because the original. I'd want to read the original book first because as the original book, complete. I don't know. I'd have to look at who wrote
you probably have to read the book, the comic, and everything. Then
they make a point of it, and this is the other thing I was going to get to when you asked me what I didn't like about it. And I didn't know any of this before I started reading up on it. But the original book, they whitewashed like 90% of the, 75% of the people in there.
Really?
Like originally, it wasn't. There were no white people. I mean, the white guys were not in this movie, and they whitewashed everybody. Like they changed it completely up for the movie.
Yeah.
I mean, I hate it when they do that with comic books, and they did it for this movie too. So you almost don't know what the actual book would have been. So if you're going to remake the movie, go back to the book and start over.
That's a good idea. That's a really good idea. Okay, so something we do on this show is we actually rate it out of 10, but we try to rate it close to what the movie is. So in the case of The Killing Joke, it would be like 6 broken spines or 6 gas things. So I'll give you a little bit to think about it, but what would you give it out of 10 and to make it kind of close to it? Like myself, I'm going to give it an 8.5 jackknives out of 10. Yeah. Just to keep it kind of like the Warriors. There are epic lines in this that are unforgettable, like "Warriors come out to play." But the whole clinking of the glasses there, that ruined it for me. Like I want to hear the guy say "Warriors come out to play" with no any other audio, and that took away from it because I think in the game you don't hear the clink clink clink. You just hear them.
So. I mean, that's not what you. The takeaway isn't, you don't remember that when you're talking about that line, and that line's become famous, and you hear it referenced all the time.
Yeah.
A bunch of different, and it's been referenced on The Simpsons, it's been referenced, they did a takeoff on it, American Dad, it was a funny one. I remember that one too, but if I had to give it a rating, it'd probably be about 7.5 out of 10, and I'd make it 7 baseball bats and,
nice.
and a broken beer bottle.
All right, I'll be sure to put that. You're just saying that. I'll make sure it's right down here. 7. I'll mix up broken glasses and baseball bats. So I guess you know what? I'm going to recommend this movie. This was a great movie. A good, again, palate cleanser. If you want something that's straightforward and you get from A to B with a good storyline, the acting, okay, it's a little. Tony Danza was supposed to be in this.
They were trying hard to get him.
So that just tells you the kind of movie that they were trying to shoot, where it's like, hey, oh, hey, but there was none of that. in this.
No, I mean, like, they laid off of the Italian stereotypes at least.
Yeah,
That's one they left.
Yeah, there's a few other ones that we're not laid off of. But you know what? I want to thank you, Kelly, so much for coming.
Thanks for having me.
Hey, no problem. Where can people go to see your site and what you have to offer for the great people in Edmonton?
You can find us on edmontonnerdlist.com, all one word, and you can find us on Facebook at Edmonton Nerdlist.
It's going to be right here. I'm going to put it right down here somewhere.
Thanks.
All right. Well, I appreciate you coming out, and as always, Idiots of the Round Table. It's going to be down here. Facebook, Twitter. This is going to be on YouTube. There's going to be a podcast that's going to be ripped from this. Next week, I'm sure we're going back to Fort Cinema, and we're going to be getting some great Ollie's Pizza Pantry again. If you're not doing anything, I'll give you a heads up, let you know what's going on if you want to come out. And
I might just, because as soon as you said pizza, I'm looking at it again.
it's, you know what? It's just that easy. Hey, Kelly, what are you doing tonight? I don't know. Pizza. Okay.
Yeah. Bye, honey. I gotta go.
All right. Thanks, everybody, for joining us. We'll see you next week. Until then, bye for now.